is our today's speaker is our immediate past president, Mr. Sajjan Kumar Tulsian. He is a renowned lawyer and practicing all over India, appearing before the different benches of the ITAT. He is highly respected and successful lawyer in our fraternity. So I do not think that I need to provide any further introduction of our learned speaker. I would also like to mention that the moderator in today's meeting is Mr. Manoj Kumar Kataruka. He is a young, energetic, and promising lawyer in our field. Now, without wasting any more time, I would ask Siddhartha to continue with the further proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haldar. I would now request the Secretary of the Income Tax Bar Association, who is also the moderator of today's program, Sri Manoj Kataruka, to please take over and initiate the proceedings and introduce today's program. Mr. Manoj Kataruka, if you could please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Siddharth. Today's topic is implications of the new provisions of Section 148A. And I think there has been a paradigm shift in the stance of the department. And the new provisions, basically, I think it creates a check and balance wherein there are certain parameters which needs to be followed now before the notice can be issued under 148A or case can be reopened. And we have a learned speaker who will in detail address this. And also another aspect is the interesting developments which is happening. Many SSEs are getting notices post 1/4/2021, even under Section 148. So what are its implications there? Whether a subordinate legislation can override a primary legislation. So that is also a matter of discussion today, which our learned speaker would take up. So today's topic is to be discussed by none other than the legal luminary, Sri S.K. Tulsian sir, immediate past president of the Income Tax Bar Association, Calcutta. And even though I fully agree with our president that he needs no formal introduction, but I will be failing in my duty if I do not do so. So his profile in brief: he is a leading lawyer in tax practice in the country and appears before the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal in almost all the benches of the country. He is also a tax professional in the practice before the Income Tax Settlement Commission, before all the benches of the Settlement Commission in the country. He has a very wide practice in direct taxes and is retained by very reputed and renowned corporates for advice and guidance. He is one of the highest tax-paying professional in the country. He is presently chairman of the Income Tax Bar Association ITAT Committee, Calcutta. He is the president of the Tax Advocate Association of Bengal, and he is the chief of the Income Tax Settlement Commission Bar Association in Kolkata. He is consulted by all the forums of the Income Tax Department, Income Tax Settlement Commission, and Income Tax Appellate Tribunal in respect of all the matters concerning the functioning of the benches. He is also a speaker in several workshops and conferences and contributed large number of articles. He has come through a dedicated hard work and is regarded in the professional circle for his such devotions. So with these words, I would now request our learned speaker and give him the stage, and because to begin his deliberations. And we will, I think, at the end, half an hour or 15 minutes, as the learned speaker permits, we'll keep for question answer sessions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Honorable President, IT Bar Association, Sri Makhan Chand Haldar, the Secretary, Sri Manoj Kataruka, Siddhartha Ray, all other respected Executive Committee members and office bearers, my fellow brothers in profession. Today's topic for discussion in the study circle is a very important shift in reopening of the assessment post budget 2021, which will be a matter of discussion and deliberation today. My learned brother has requested for a interactive session post my address, and I will devote half an hour to that interactive session because that is more rewarding than the address itself. Rather, how far the address has reached the audience shall also be understood from the interactive session which will follow. Now we all know, prior to this 2021 budget, there were various provisions under which the assessments could be reopened. One is Section 147 read with Section 148. In that relation, my learned brother has mentioned that the notices issued post 1/4/2021, the legal validity of such notice should be part of the deliberation that I shall take up. The assessments used to be reopened also under Section 153A and also under Section 153C in the case of such person and the related person. In relation to 147, there were types of SSH. One was those who were within 4 years and who were processed only and were not assessed under Section 143.3, and those who were assessed under Section 143.3 whose cases were within 4 years, and those which was reopened of the assessments completed under Section 143.3 but beyond 4 years. In all these cases, the judicial authorities had already established the norm under which these reopenings were judged. The reopening of assessment in the past regime required reason to believe. An assessing officer, if he wanted to reopen a proceeding under the Income Tax Act, whether it was within 4 years, whether it was a non-143.3 assessment or 143.3 assessment, or post 4 years with completed under Section 143.3, the prime approach under which the assessment would have been reopened was recording of reason to believe. In regard to reason to believe, the Supreme Court's judgment in the case of Lakshmani Mewalal Das, 103 ITR, page 437, had become the landmark authority. So the point for us was always to ponder whether the reason to believe recorded by the assessing officer establishes live link or nexus with the reason recorded and with that of the escapement of income, because that required a proper application of mind on the part of the assessing officer in regard to the escaped income with his belief. So the reasons were very important, and many cases used to fall through only because they lacked this clarity. The second point was those assessments which were completed under Section 143.3 but were within 4 years for the reopening. In that, the issue always used to be whether it is a case of change of opinion. In the case of Calvinator, the full bench of the Honorable Delhi High Court reported in 256 ITR page 1, and which was duly affirmed by the Supreme Court, in the case of this Kelvinator, that was 320 ITR page 561, it was held that a mere change of opinion will not lead to the reopening if SSC assessment was completed under section 143.3. The presumption of law is the assessing officer must have noticed everything which was produced before him. So therefore, you cannot reopen a concluded assessment only because it is within 4 years. So therefore, change of opinion will not give you the jurisdiction for reopening of the assessment. Yet another cases where the reopening was within 4 years and it was not an assessment in the light of the Supreme Court judgment. In the case of Rajesh Javeri, which was reported in 291 ITR, wherein the page 500, where the Supreme Court said that the processing or under section 143.1 will not amount to making of assessment, so it will not be a case of change of opinion. However, in that also, the basic thing which was to be seen, whether the reason to believe recorded by the assessing officer has live link or nexus with the reopening of the assessment and the reason recorded. So that issue was still live in relation to that. So these were the three basic criteria on the basis of which the reopening was being viewed and examined, and reopening was a subject matter before the various authorities. The another aspect under which the reopening used to take place was under section 153A and under section 153C. In case of the search assessment, necessarily the notices under section 153A for 6 years used to be issued. Those 6 years assessments used to be viewed between the abated and unabated years. Abated years were those where the notices under section 143.2 could have been issued on the date of search, and those which were beyond issue of the section 143.2 notice, those were treated as unabated years. In respect of unabated years, the principle of law laid down in the case of Mita Gudgutia and Keval Chawla was that unless there is an incriminating material found in course of search, addition cannot be fastened. As far as abated years are concerned, you to be treated that those years which were open for a scrutiny could be considered as regular assessment, and all types of inquiries, investigation can be done post search also, and additions could accordingly be fastened relating to that. Thereafter, in 2016, with effect from 17/18, a new regime was started wherein third proviso was inserted in section 153A in relation to the relevant years. In relation to that, it was provided that if in course of search evidence is found with regard to the unexplained asset of an aggregate amount of 50 lakh rupees or more, then the assessing officer shall acquire jurisdiction to reopen the assessment of the relevant year, that is beyond 6 years, but within 10 years from the end of the year in which the search was conducted. So those relevant years also came within the jurisdiction for the reopening by the assessing officer under section 153A. So these were the areas on which the reopening used to be done under section 153A. Then the another area where the reopening was permissible was under section 153C. 153C was the reopening in the case of a person in whose case search has not been conducted, but books of accounts, documents, money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article or thing relating to them were found from the premises of someone and which belonged to them, was the parameter under which their cases also used to come within the reopening under section 153C. in 2016, an amendment was made whereupon related person or any entries pertaining to those persons also came within the purview of section 153C that required the recording of satisfaction by the assessing officer of the searched person that the impugned asset or impugned books of account or impugned entries belong or pertained to the such other person. Then he will write to the assessing officer of such other person, who will then record his satisfaction on the basis of material and the satisfaction provided by him, and can initiate proceeding under section 153C. So these are the areas under which the pre-2021 regime was functioning. Now, post this budget, which has come in 2021, there is a particle shift in the reopening provisions as contained in section 147, 148, 148A, 149, 151 of the Income Tax Act. All these sections have been newly inserted, substituting the old sections. So therefore, the entire structure of these sections has undergone complete change. As against reason to believe, now only escapement of income is the basis, and explanation below section 148 clearly says that the reopening shall be based on two premises. One, on the basis of the information which they get from the central portals maintained by the CBDT, and secondly, the final report of the CAG, which points out to any statement of income in the case of the SSE. There is second proviso to section 148, which lists out that there will be cases where search has been conducted or survey has been conducted, or where third-party documents have been found. These will also be subject matter of reopening under section 147, read with section 148. There is a provision incorporated in section 148A now, which talks about the circumstances and the situations which will be examined by them under this section in order to decide whether the or any reopening under section 148 is required or not. This 148A is limited to the information-based reopening, not the search and survey-based reopening. Thereafter, the system of granting approval is provided in section 151, and the authorities therein are also provided. The section 150 of this in the new regime has not been changed, and where the reopening is permitted due to the judicial intervention, that remains as it was before. So we will be examining all these issues one by one to have a complete idea in respect of the new regime which has come, replacing the old regime, wherein all the type of reopening which were permitted, whether such reopening is permissible, to what extent now under the new regime shall be the issue. Now let us come to the present section 147. Now new regime is under section 147. The section 147 starts with the word, if any income chargeable to tax in the case of an SSE has escaped assessment for any assessment year. Now, as against earlier it was, if the assessing officer has reason to believe that any income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment. So straight away now, income escaping assessment is taken because it is information based. Earlier, it was based on the reason to believe. It means all informations we obtained by the assessing officer or received by the assessing officer or reaching the assessing officer in the earlier regime was required to be examined by the assessing officer himself, and then he was required to form a belief in regard to the escapement of income. As against that, now it is where escaped assessment, any assessment here, assessment may, subject to provision 148 to 153, assess such income or recompute loss or depreciation allowance or any other allowance or deduction for such assessment year under section 148 to 153. So now it is just straight away. But then let us come to explanation. The explanation says, for the purpose of assessment or reassessment or recomputation under this section, the assessing officer may assess or reassess the income in respect of any issue which has escaped assessment, and such issue comes to his notice subsequently in course of the proceeding under this section, irrespective of the fact that provision of section 148A have not been complied with. Now, this section, some explanation gives authority to the assessing officer that the issues on which 148A has not been taken up or which has not been examined under section 148A, once the proceeding has been reopened pursuant to an order under section 148A, then other issues coming to his notice in course of the assessment proceeding shall also be covered by him in the assessment order under section 147, which he shall be passing. So the explanation expands the scope of section 147(1) of the Income Tax Act. Then comes section 148. Now come to section 148. Section 148 says, before making assessment, reassessment, or recomputation under section 147 and subject to the provision of section 148A. So the assessment, reassessment, recomputation under section 147 will be subject to section 148A. The assessing officer shall serve on the assessee a notice along with a copy of the order passed, if required, under clause D of section 148A, requiring him to furnish within such period as may be specified the notice, a return of income or the income of any other person in respect which is accessible in prescribed form. So now, along with the notice under section 148, a order under section 148A has to be a part of it. And that is why, first of all, we will examine section 148A also, but let me first of all dwell upon 148, because this requirement of section 148A order to accompany the notice under section 148 is not inherent in all the cases, because it is inherent in only those cases which are covered by explanation 1. So the issue is that any notice under section 148 we shall be covered by explanation 1. A order under section 148A shall have to accompany that notice, because in that order under 148A, the assessing officer has to determine and make up his mind that a income has escaped assessment, requiring the issuance of notice under section 148. So the provision says that no notice under this section shall be issued unless there is information in the assessing officer which suggests income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment in the case of the assessee for the relevant assessment year. So as I told you that the only requirement for the issuance of notice under section 148 in relation to the escapement of income is that the assessing officer under the new regime should have information in his possession that the income of the assessee has escaped assessment. What is that information? That is in explanation 1. Come to explanation 1. For the purpose of this section and section 148A, the information with the assessing officer which suggests that the income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment means any information flagged in the case of the assessee for the relevant assessment year in accordance with the risk management strategy formulated by the board from time to time. what is this risk management strategy has not been notified so far. But normally in the board, risk management strategy is a wing wherein all the adverse Supreme Court judgments, High Court judgments, the reports received from various authorities under section 285BA are collected. And after collecting that, where the assessments, the returns are examined, and in that, on the basis of that, it is seen whether there is any information relating to that SSC which leads to escapement of income. So that portal is maintained by the CBDT, which is the central government, and this information shall be traveling to the assessing officer from such central authorities, and on the basis of which such information shall be collected. And second part of this explanation is any final objection raised by the Comptroller and Auditor General. So it has to be a final objection. It cannot be intermediary objection. If the Departmental Revenue Audit raises an objection, that shall not lead to them. Or intermediary any objection by the CAG will not be lead to that. Only final objection will lead to the information giving the jurisdiction for the reopening of the assessment. So under these two circumstances, when the provision of section 148 is invoked, then the requirement of section 148A has been provided. If we come to explanation 2, we will notice the cases covered by explanation 2 are the cases where section 148A shall have no application. Come to section explanation 2. For the purpose of this section, where a search is initiated under section 132 or books of account or the document or any other asset or acquisition of 132A on or after 1st day of April 2021 in the case of SSC, or survey is conducted under 133A other than under subsection 2A or section 5 of that section on or after the 1st day of April 2000 in the case of the SSC, or the SSC is satisfied with the prior approval of the principal commissioner or commissioner. Here the prior approval of the principal commissioner and commissioner is taken at the stage of satisfaction itself. It is not required that 148A has to be gone into. Any money, bullion, other valuable article thing, or in any case other person, owner first day of April 20 belongs to the SSC, or the SSC is satisfied with the prior approval principal commissioner or commissioner that any books of account of the document seized or requisitioned of 132 or 132A in the case of any other person on or on the 1st day of April 2021 pertain or pertains to any information contained therein relate to the SSC shall be deemed to have information which suggests that the income chargeable to tax is escaped assessment in the case of the SSC for the 3 assessment year immediately preceding the assessment year relevant to the previous year in which the search is initiated, or books of account or other document or any asset or requisition or survey is conducted in the case of the SSC, money, bullion, jewelry or valuable article or thing, or books of account of the document are seized or requisitioned of 132A. So here it shall be presumed that for 3 years for which the reopening is permitted under explanation 1, in respect of the information which has to be gone through the process of section 148A will not be required to be done in second explanation 2, because it shall be presumed they have got the information. In the case of searches, there are direct evidence, and the case of third persons, the approvals are taken from the principal commissioner or the commissioner while invoking this explanation. So therefore, the requirement of section 148A is not there, it shall be presumed. Now, come to section 148A. Now, section 148A presupposes that when an information is received by the assessing officer, he shall put it to the PCIT or CIT for his approval for conducting inquiry. If he approves that you conduct inquiry, then he shall start inquiry. Let us read: conduct any inquiry if required with the prior approval of the specified authority. A specified authority is under section 151A, that is principal commissioner and the commissioner. So for conducting inquiry, for a starting inquiry, he has to take the approval of the principal CIT or the CIT, whoever may be, and second, provide an opportunity of being heard to the SSC with the prior approval. Now, after conducting inquiry also, he shall again put that inquiry to the PCIT or to the CIT and take his approval. And after taking his approval, he will give opportunity to the SSC to explain whether the information obtained by him amounts to escapement of income, or he can explain out those information as having been disclosed in his return of income or the accounts prepared leading to the filing of return income. So it says, authority by serving upon him notice to so cause within such time as may be a special notice, being not less than 7 days but not exceeding 30 days. Such a notice will give a time of minimum 7 days and 30 days, maximum 30 days to the SSC to answer as to why the reopening should not be done in his case from the date on which notice is issued, or such time as may be extended by him on the basis of an application in this behalf. So such period can further be extended as to why a notice under 148 should not be issued on the basis of information which suggests the income chargeable to tax as escaped assessment in each case for the relevant assessment year and results in inquiry conducted as per clause A. Then C, consider the reply of the CG furnished if any response to the so-called notice referred to in clause B. Now, after the SSC has furnished the reply, the assessing officer shall consider that reply, and if he wants to go ahead with the issuing of notice by passing an order under subclause D, he had to again put to the PCIT or the CIT, come to clause D, decide on the basis of material available on record, including reply of the SSC, whether or not it is a fit case for the institute of section 148 by passing a note with the prior approval of the specified authority. So again, he has to pass through the specified authority. So at 3 stages, he has to pass through the specified authority. First, for conducting inquiry. Second, after conducting inquiry, for putting it to the SSC. And third, after receiving the reply of the SSC, whether he wants to drop or he wants to proceed as per subclause D, he has to again take the approval of the specified authority. So therefore, checks and balances at every stage has been put up in section 148A for the purpose of reopening of the assessment. But now, provided as I told you, in such cases, survey cases, or the reopening of third person based on the evidences gathered in the search of a person will not require 148A is here in this provision. Provided provision of this section shall not apply in a case where search is initiated on 132 or books of account of the document and reassess requisition of 132A in the case of owner after 1st day of April 2021. So after 1st day of April 2021, search age 148A will not be required, but notice for 3 years can be issued without invoking section 148A and without the approval of any authority. Then the assessing officer is satisfied with the prior approval of the principal commissioner or commissioner that any money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article or thing seized search 132 or request of 133A is the case of other person or first belongs to such other person. So it is in relation to the third person, which were earlier 153C. So here also is not required. Essentially satisfied. Prior approval of the principal commissioner, books of account pertain or pertains to that person. So here also there will not be any need for any 148 order. These are the exceptions to the 148 order, and the prior approval has been provided in section 151, and you can see that in the case of the reopening for 3 years, within 3 years, it is the principal commissioner and commissioner, and beyond 3 years, it is the principal chief commissioner, principal DG investigation, chief commissioner or DG investigation. Now time limit under which come to section 149. No notice under section 148 shall be issued for the relevant assessment year if 3 years have elapsed from the end of the relevant assessment year, unless the case falls under clause B. So within 3 years, all information based cases will be taken up and done within 3 years time. Beyond that, no reopening is possible. B cases, if 3 years but not more than 10 years have elapsed from the end of the relevant assessment year, unless SSA has in its possession books of another document or evidence which reveal income child tax represented in the form of asset which has escaped assessment, accounts are likely to amount to 50 lakh rupees or such and such. So now you see, in such cases or in survey cases or in the case of the third person, in all these cases, if asset worth more than 50 lakh rupees for each of those assessment years are found, then the reopening beyond 3 years is permissible, and for that the permission under section 151 of the principal chief commissioner, principal director investigation or director general of investigation shall have to be taken. Now you can see that the definition of asset is in explanation below section 149. Come to the explanation. For the purpose of clause B of this subsection, assets shall include immovable property, being land or building or both, shares and securities, loans and advances, deposit with bank account. So a mere entry will not become an asset. They have to be a specifically identifiable asset. I have given a loan, there should be identification of that. I made a bank deposit, there should be identification of that. I have immovable property, that should be identification of that. I have got shares and securities, that should be identification of that. So hard assets, if found for each year of the value of more than 50 lakh rupees, then only reopening beyond 3 years is permissible, both in such cases and non-such cases. That too, as per section 151, clause 2, the principal chief commissioner, principal director general, principal or chief commissioner or director general, they are the authorities who will approve the reopening for the purpose of the subclause B. So therefore, now it is not like before that 6 years post search were automatically reopened, although for the unabated years additions were not possible, but for the incriminating material, and for 4 years further aggregate 50 lakh rupees of asset was needed in order to reopen those 4 years also. Here, individual year, 50 lakh rupees, undisclosed asset discovery or information relating to that shall have to be with the assessing officer for recording of region and thereafter taking of the approval from the highest authority under the act. So therefore, these are the basis and the time limit within which the notices shall have to be issued. There are 4 exceptions provided in section 149. One is that if the reopening under the old regime was permitted for a period of 6 years and now it is permitted under for 10 years, then those 6 years with effect from 1/4/2021, beyond 6 years, 8% it shall not be done. So the surcharge which takes place from 1/4/2021 for 4 years, all 10 years will not be covered. So that is the first proviso, provided that the notice under section 148 shall be issued at any time in a case for the relevant assessment year, beginning or before 1st day of April 2021, if such notice could not have been issued at that time on account of being beyond the time limit as specified under provision of clause B of subsection 1 of this section, as they stood immediately before the commencement of Finance Act 2021. So not under 153A, under this section. So earlier, beyond 6 years, no reopening was permissible, except in the case of foreign asset. But with 1/4/2016, foreign asset went under the black money law. So 6 years only remained. So therefore, as per this proviso, this is a beneficial proviso that beyond 6 years, reopening will not be permitted unless it travels another further 4 years, when 10 years will be possible. So this is the first proviso. Then these are the exceptions. Second is provided further, provision of this section shall not apply in a case where notice under 153A or 153 read section 153A is required to be issued in relation to such initiator 132 of books of account before 31st March 2021. Now, this provision of section 148 applies to the such cases which has taken place post 1/4/2021. Prior to 31st March or up to 31st March, all searches which took place will be governed by section 153 and 153C of the Act. So therefore, in those cases, notices which shall be issued will be under section 153A and 153C. So therefore, this provision of section 148, 149, 147 will not apply in such cases. So this is an exception which is provided. Then provided also that for the purpose of computing the period limitation as per this section, time extended or time allowed to the SSC as per so-called notice issued under clause B of section 148A or a period during which the procedure will be stayed by the order injunction of the court shall be excluded. Now, 3 years time will stand excluded by the time which has been permitted by the assessing officer for giving an opportunity to the SSC if it falls with beyond that period. So say a notice under section 148A has been issued in the month of February and it is getting barred on 31st March, then this period shall stand extended for 1 month time or more time, which has been provided to the SSC to respond to 148A notices. So this expulsion provision is provided by this proviso. And further, if any person has gone to court against 148A order or 148A proceeding, so and if there is an injunction to that effect, that period also shall stand excluded by this proviso. Then fourth proviso says, provided that whether immediately after the expulsion of the period referred to in immediately preceding proviso, the period of limitation available to the assessing officer for passing an order under clause G of 148 less than 7 days, such remaining period shall be extended by 7 days. So in spite of that expulsion, if the period left is 7 days or less than 7 days, then 7 days more shall be given to the assessing officer to pass the order. So these are the 4 exceptions provided to section 149 for the time which has been earmarked in the section. Then section 150. Now, as you know, under section 150, while examining a case, if a CIT appeal, ITAT, or the High Court, if they notices that this income pertains to any other year of the SSC, or this income pertains to some other persons, then they may issue a direction that if that case could have been reopened within the time frame on which the notices were issued in this case, then we can direct that those cases should be reopened and proceedings should be initiated against them. This issue, as it was under section 150 earlier, continues to be so in the new regime also, because no amendment has been proposed in the act in relation to such judicially noticed reopening. But the provisions in section 150 has been clearly held to apply to those cases where the reopening was permissible on the date of reopening in that case, so as to exercise jurisdiction, not any time or for any year which the assessing officer, which the such judicial authority desired. So therefore, with that rider, section 150 continues to hold field as far as the new regime is concerned. Now, sanction for the issue, as I have already told you, section 151 newly has been substituted for section 148 and 148A. As I have told you, in relation to reopening under section 148 as per the first proviso, the provisions of subsection 1 will apply, where principal commissioner, principal director, or commissioner or director, for in the case of 3 years, the reopening will be the approving authority, and principal chief commissioner, principal director general, or principal chief commissioner, director general, or chief commissioner will be for where more than 3 years are there. Now, another thing, very important aspect of this deliberation must be noted is that earlier all such cases, either under section 153A or under section 153C, used to be approved by the joint commissioner or the additional commissioner. So no order could be passed earlier without the approval of the joint commissioner or the additional commissioner. Now, for passing 148 order, either information based within relating to 3 years escaping assessment, or the second explanation 2, wherein such cases and survey cases are involved, the approval of any authority is not required. Approval under section 148A 3 stage, and for reopening of assessment under section 148 by the principal commissioner or the commissioner for 3 years, and principal chief commissioner or principal director general beyond 3 years are there, but no approval is required for passing of the assessment order. So this is a partisanship as far as the earlier provisions are concerned. So therefore, under the new regime now, although things have become much simpler and much better, but the areas have been very widely extended. So although widely extended area is there, but checks and balances have been put up under section 148A, wherein not only to start inquiry, but after inquiry, the result of inquiry has also to be put to the principal CIT. and it is he, when he approves that the so-called notice has to be issued to the SSE under section 148A. And after receiving the reply of the SSE also under 148A, before passing an order under section 148A(b), again principal commissioner or the commissioner shall have to approve. So therefore, the reopening is now not that easy under the new regime, because any of these approvals, if they are given without application of mine by the principal commissioner or the commissioner, or in the routine way, then they'll be open to challenge. Earlier, the challenge used to be about recording of satisfaction. But although reason to believe has been done away with, but reason to believe shall be at every stage. It doesn't mean that reason to believe has disappeared altogether. Reason to believe, because unless you have reason to believe, how do you record satisfaction? That is a fit case for conduct of inquiry. How do you approve without the reason to believe? That the fit case for putting the matter to the SSE for the so cause. How it is a fit case for passing of an order under section 148A(d), unless you have got reason to believe. So although the word reason to believe goes, but reason to believe is very much inherent in section 148A. So is the case in respect of recording of satisfaction in reopening beyond 3 years, because there again you have to record reason what asset you have found relating to that year, which gives you the satisfaction for reopening my assessment for that year. And there again the PCCIT or the DG investigation shall have to grant approval. So if challenged, that reason to believe will come, because reason to believe, the granting of approval cannot be mechanical. It has to be based on material, and once it has to be based on material, that material needs analysis. That material requires recording of belief that this belongs to that person, that so much is that amount, or that amount gives the jurisdiction for giving them authority to proceed with the matter and issuance of notice. So although reason to believe is not there written in the statute, but it is very much inherent. So those cases which provided solace to the SSE under the old regime will continue to have their authority before the court of law under the new regime also. So therefore, and with more force, therefore, say now information has been received that SK Tulsian has made investment in the property amounting to such and such, which he has not disclosed in his return of income. But SK Tulsian is not only one in the country. There are hundreds of SK Tulsian in the country. Now, based on some other SK Tulsian, if that information leads to the belief, and on that basis notice is issued, I can very well challenge in the court that I am not that SK Tulsian, although I have explained that the notice has been issued. So the safeguards which have been provided in the issue in the new regime does give hope that there will not be blanket power in the hands of the authority to proceed with the notice under section 148 under any and all circumstances. So therefore, under the new regime, as per me, we are much better protected than we were in the old regime. So therefore, this partisanship which the Finance Act 2021 has made is going to be a soother for the SSEs, and we give them lots of hope. Now, having covered this part of the amendments which has come, my job is to analyze the powers being exercised now by the authority in issuance of notice under section 148 post incorporation of the new section in the statute. You are aware that the present sections, if you just go through the new regime, you will find that section 147, you just see it substituted by Finance Act 2012 with effect from 1/4/2021. Likewise, section 148 substituted by Finance Act 2021 with effect from 1/4/2021. Section 149, section 151. So all these sections are stand substituted with effect from 1/4/2021 and has become law from 1/4/2021. It means old sections survived only up to 31st March 2021. All actions which flowed from those sections prior to 1/4/2021 were good law and were good acts. But since those sections, old sections, are non-existent in the statute, those sections cannot authorize an assessing officer to reopen the completed assessments. Article 265 of the Constitution Article 265 of the Constitution says, Article 265 of the Constitution says, Article 265 of the Constitution says, taxes not to be imposed save by authority of law. No tax shall be levied or collected except by authority of law. What does it mean? It means a law enacted by Parliament is the authority which empowers the government to collect tax from the resident people in India. Now, a law has ceased to be a law on 31st March 2021. So, that is no more a law from 1/4/2021. So, that law do not invest you with authority under Article 265 of the Constitution. A law which do not invest you with the authority to collect tax from me, post 1/4/2021, how could you issue a notice under that law post 1/4/2021 holding that my case stands reopened under the old regime? No circular, no notification can override the constitution. It is the constitution which is the mother of all legislation. Under Article 2(6) of the constitution, if a law is made by the parliament, is the only authority which empowers the government to collect tax from me, and that law stands abrogated from 1/4/2021. How do you issue a notice under that law after the abrogation of that law? So therefore, all these notices are illegal, without the authority of law, and unconstitutional. Recently, in 2 cases, Bombay High Court has stayed the 148 notices. That is, one is Tata Communication Transformation Services versus SCIT, Bombay High Court, by judgment dated 5/7/2021 in writ petition number 1334 and of 2021, and second is that of Armada D1 Pet Limited versus DCIT, again Bombay High Court, by order dated 3/6/2021 in writ petition number 11766 of 2021. So these are the pointers only. I am sure no High Court is going to upheld the validity of the 148 notices which has been issued post the substitution of old sections by the new sections, because for reopening there cannot be 2 laws operating from 1/4/2021 under the statute. So if the parliament has replaced the old law with a new law, it is a new law which has got the field now. So under this, only where all the ingredient of present section 147, present section 148, present section 148A, present section 151, present section 149 are present, can be a valid reopening, not that which was done under the old law. So therefore, I am of the firm opinion that the entire notices which has been served post 1/4/2021 by the Income Tax Department on the SSC should be challenged on this premise, and ultimately writ petition should be filed in Calcutta High Court also to quash those notices which has been issued, because such notices have been issued, taken benefit of section 3 of the notifications are in explanation to the this COVID Management Act which has been brought in. This is notification. This is under the taxation other law relaxation amendment provision of Act of 2020. So they have brought these amendment, these circulars in exercise of power conferred under subsection 1 of section 3 of taxation and other laws relaxation amendment of certain provision of the Act 2020. But this was much before the finance bill came, which was much before when the Finance Act came. So by the Finance Act, when this act itself gets replaced, then this law is not a good law. So therefore, the provisions as contained now violate the Finance Act 2021, whereupon from 1/4/2021, the new regime is in progress. All the reopening under the new regime will be only permissible, not under the old regime. This is my sum and substance of the discourse, and I leave now this field for the interactive session, and the coordinator may take up the matter for interactive session on the issue.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
We will take up the interactive session. I will request the participants to raise the queries. They can either unmute themselves and ask the questions here, or you can also put your questions in the chat box.
My question, hello.
Yes. Yes.
My
Kiran.
question to Tulsianji is that if the SSC did not agree by the order under section 148A that these are the findings of the department, whether the SSC can file appeal to the CIT appeal or ITAT?
No, he's not permitted to do that. He can, he has to then proceed with either he has to file a writ. You can ask under the Right to Information Act the proceedings which has gone into in passing the order under section 148A(d), because as I told you, under section 148A, when the information is received by the assessing officer from the central agencies, then he has to seek an approval from the PCIT or the CIT for conduct inquiry. And after receiving his approval, he will conduct inquiry. After he conducts inquiry and he finds that the income in the case of the SSC has escaped assessment, he will again put to the PCIT or the CIT for his approval to issue questionnaire. And he will issue the questionnaire with the approval of the PCIT or the CIT. After issuing the questionnaire, he will receive the reply under subclause C of 148A(d). After receiving the reply from the SSC, if he wants to pass an order under section 148A(d), he will again put up the matter to his PCIT or the CIT. And after receiving his approval, then only he will proceed to pass the order under section 148D. So there are 3 stages in which he is seeking, he is recording his satisfaction and seeking the approval from the PCIT. So under Right to Information Act, you should ask for all these approvals and all the reasons which he has recorded before seeking his approval. And after examining that, if you find that still the order passed under section 148A(d) is not leading to the conclusion that my income has escaped assessment, then you have all the right to challenge and writ the impugned order which has been passed under section 148A(d). And if the court states that, then section 149 explanation 3 provides that that period in computing the period will be excluded, and 7 days time shall be permitted to the assessing officer after excluding that time to pass an order under section 143.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sir, suppose that, Sir Tulsianji, good evening, sir. Ratan Goyal is speaking.
Yeah, Ranjanji, boliye. Well,
Sir, suppose that my client has been received a notice under section 148. In this situation, what should be course of action? Directly we should challenge the notice.
No, you should write to
We should go to.
No, you should write to the assessing officer saying that the impugned notice is dated such and such, which is beyond 1/4/2021, and since the new law stands substituted with effect from 1/4/2021, the old regime is no more in existence, and as per Article 265 of the Constitution, the law which prevails only grants you authority for collection of taxes. Impugned notice which has been issued by you is in excess of your jurisdiction. Therefore, any notification which has been issued by the CBDT does not invest you with the jurisdiction to issue the impugned notice. So therefore, your impugned notice is bad in law and illegal. So therefore, you should drop the proceeding. And if at all, if you want to initiate a proceeding against me, and you have the time to do so, you do it under the new regime by issuing on me a notice under section 148A, when I'll reply to all your charges, and thereafter, if you find my case fit for proceeding and you permit, provided the time permit, then you can proceed against me. Otherwise, you cannot.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
As usual, we should not start the proceeding, and we should file the return and ask the reason to be.
No.
We should not. Yes.
That GKW matter is
Yes.
gone. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Good.
Sir, in this relation, there was one question
Yeah.
that whether notice like after 1/4/2021, so notice has to be issued as per 148A formalities, whether the
Notice now, so-called notice. First of all, 148A requires that the AO himself will conduct the inquiry. For conducting the inquiry, that will be without issuing a notice to me. He has to take the approval of his PCIT.
So
And
whether-
the CIT.
whether that can
Then he will conduct the inquiry,
yes.
and after that, if he is satisfied, there is a material against me for reopening of my assessment, then he will again put to his PCIT or the CIT, take his approval, and then will issue a so-called to me. Why your case should not be reopened? I have this information with me. Then I'll reply. After receiving my reply, he will again put up to his PCIT or the CIT. Look, there is a case for the reopening in spite of this reply. And when he approves, then will pass an order under section 148A. And with that order, he will issue a notice under section 148, for which also he will get the approval of his PCIT or the CIT.
Yes, sir.
Then only 148 is possible.
My question is whether like post 1/4/2021, like for the assessment years 13, 14 and 14, 15, whether notices can be issued under 148 as per the direction under 148A, as per the format of 148A.
No, because under section 149, the time limit is 3 years only.
Yes.
Beyond 3 years, it has to be asset based. Asset has been defined in the explanation below section 149. It has to be hard asset, money, bullion, jewelry, immobile asset, loans given, bank deposit. So not mere information, not mere information. And in that case, they have to obtain the permission, approval of the DG investigation or the PCCIT or CCIT.
Yes, sir, in this actually, because this question was raised because in this Armada PTE Limited Bombay High Court decision, so they have basically not challenged the assessment year, but only why the notice was not issued under 148A. This case was for assessment year 13-14. So it has been only challenged that it was not issued as per the format of 148A. But it has not been challenged here that a particular assessment year is itself cannot be issued. That has not been challenged. That's why this question was raised.
That is automatic. Because 148A applies only for 3 years.
Yes,
148A does not apply
correct,
for 10 years in such cases.
absolutely.
Because in such cases, search regime has been taken out.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is another question in the chat box
Yes.
of Ketan Santanalia. He is asking, what will happen if the government changes the law and 148 is made effective from 1/4/2022? He's stating, but it should be 21, I think. Yes. What he's trying to say, if the law is changed by the government and with retrospective effect, if an ordinance.
You see, that will be challenged in the court because a law has already come into being. That is by part of the Finance Act. Old Act has been substituted. It never happens. You bring a new law, then you change to the old law only because you want to tax those things. So you see, a government in a small country or a small island can do this sort of thing. But you are staying in a democratic country with the largest democracy in the world. You should not ponder over these sort of questions. Not at all. I don't think.
Sri Tulsianji, my another question is very relevant.
Yes.
If I am permitted to ask,
You're sure. You are welcome.
if the assessee accepts the details provided in so-called notice of 148A of the Act, as a matter of fact that yes, your allegation or your findings are correct, whether assessee can settle on these findings of in the so-called notice and pay taxes accordingly so that he can escape the process to be followed under section 148 to 153.
No, 148A is not a assessing section. 148A is a inquiry section. Under that, the assessing officer has to form a belief. And for forming a belief, he has to pass an order under section 148A. Earlier, जो region recorded था ना, that has been replaced by 148A. इसमें region ही record किया जाता है. समझे कि नहीं? तो and earlier we used to challenge the region recorded. Now also we can challenge this 148A. Now as far as the settling,
I do not challenge the 148A, and I say that okay,
straight away issue the 148 notice and then we'll assess you. Now whether you will be penalized or not shall be governed by section 270A. Section 270A has got subsection 6. If your case fall under section 270A 6, then you shall not be penalized. If your case fall under section 270A or 2 or 270A 3, then you can settle the matter under section 270AA 3, or if the matter fall under section 270A 9, then you will be penalized to the extent of 200%. So these are all the parameters which have already been laid down in the law.
panel provision will follow.
Penal provision will follow.
Yes.
So there's a question
Yes.
in the chat box.
Yes.
If SSE has a bank account in a rural cooperative society and the rural cooperative society has no IFSC code, if the SSE has bank account in rural cooperative society and the rural cooperative society has no IFSC code, SSE do not show his IT return without IFSC bank account. In the meantime, the cooperative society is under scrutiny by the department. The department issues notice to all the account holders whose transactions are above 5 lakhs. So this is his question, but I'm unable to.
No, what he wants to say, if the notices are issued above 5 lakh and those persons are not found, then the cooperative will be assessed on that amount. Or if they are found, what will happen to their fate? What he is asking? He is asking in respect of the bank, or he is asking in respect of the deposit holders. If he is asking for the deposit holders, then if he is not maintaining a balance sheet and if he can demonstrate with reference to the last so many years return that are meeting the drawing expenditure, this is the saving which has accumulated over the years, then that explanation he can give pursuant to the notice under section 148A, and that assessing officer may accept or may not accept. If he does not accept, then also it shall not be a case of misreporting, and it can fall under subclause 3 or subclause 6 because you are giving it. But there are situations in section 270A also, that is subsection 4 and subsection 5. In that event, if an addition has been made in past on which penalty has not been imposed, and those additions has been made on estimate, and you are trying to explain the deposit with reference to such additions which has been made, then you will be penalized under section 278 in spite of that. So it will be all situational and will depend upon the facts of each case.
Yes, sir. I think Manojit Dahu's query was raised. I think he's got a suitable reply.
Yes.
If any clarification is required, he can unmute himself and ask the question.
Yes.
Sir, there was one question regarding the explanation 2 to section 147, wherein it deals with survey cases. So survey cases are deemed to be where no information is required and no notice.
No, it is deemed information because below that, the 1, 2, 3, 4 situation which has been given, below that section, it is written that shall be treated that the assessing officer has the information for 3 years.
Yes. So in explanation 2 to 147, it has been deemed, but whereas under 148A, sir, here in proviso, this survey has not been mentioned. So there is
Survey is not mentioned because in that case, in such cases, 148A is not required. But in that 148, it is clearly mentioned that it shall be deemed information. So it shall be deemed information, so 148A will not require. Because when deemed information has been provided, so therefore, I have also noticed that.
Yes.
Survey is not mentioned. But there the survey is mentioned. Survey is part of that. And it is said deemed information. So since deemed information is taken, so even if it is not mentioned, you cannot challenge that 148A has to be there in that case. Because there are 2 explanations. One explanation is in explanation 1, where 2 limb is there. One limb is information. Second limb is the final report of the audit. So CAG. So these 2 situations, 148 is required. In the explanation 2, it is not required. But in the first explanation also survey is not mentioned. But here in section 148A, explanation proviso, survey is mentioned immediately after sir.
It is not mentioned, sir. 148 proviso.
No, 148A, no, 148. 148, come to 148. No, yes. No, come to 149. Sorry, 149. Come to 149.
Sir, 147.
One second. Yes. Come to explanation 2. 148 explanation 2. 148 explanation 2.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Subsection 2.
Yes.
A survey is conducted under section 133A, other than under subsection 2A or subsection 5 of that section, on or after 1st day of April 2021, in the case of the SSE, the assessing officer shall be deemed to have information which suggests that the income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment in the case of the SSE for 3 assessment years. So it is deemed.
But if you come to 148 proviso,
yes,
there it says ki the provided that the provisions of this section shall not apply in a case where A, B, and C is given. Survey is not mentioned here. Other aspects are mentioned.
I agree with you. But you see, since this deeming fiction itself,
correct, That was my query only, yes.
Yes, that dimming fiction will apply now because this explanation to in 148. For one issue of 148, it does not allow you to travel to 148A.
Yes, sir.
148 comes before 148A.
Correct.
So 148 itself says it shall be deemed for 3 years. So, therefore,
148A will not apply for survey cases also.
No.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
For 3 years.
3 years. So another query while deliberating, it came across. So you mentioned that the reason to believe is still has to be there inherent because beyond 3 years,
You see, I told you
yes, sir.
that for each stage under section 148A, the assessing officer shall have to record his region and put up to the PCIT or the CIT for obtaining his approval. So, unless he has a belief of his statement of income, how will record his region?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So, on the basis of information, record his region, income as escaped assessment. So, without reason to believe, he cannot do it. He will have to honestly record it. Then only a honest approval will be granted.
Yes.
Then after inquiry, again he has to record his region. Again he has to take the approval. Then again after receiving my reply, he has to again record his region. And again he has to receive the approval. So what I say, it is inherent in the section itself. Although reason to believe has been done away with,
Correct.
but reason to believe is very much inherent part of the entire scheme of that, which has been framed now, and not at one stage, at every stage. So you got under the Right to Information Act to the assessing officer, provide me all these informations, analyze it, file it.
So, sir, the question, there was earlier, it was change of opinion, and then it became to reason to believe. So here they have done away with reason to believe. Now, whether the department can argue that no, we don't need to reason to believe. I have my opinion. I am doing my information. That basis.
Any act in a democratic state has to be based on cogent reasons. Nobody can act whimsically. An assessing officer cannot act whimsically. That is why he has to put up his reasons to his PCIT and obtain his approval. What approval he will obtain unless he records the region? Without record, what approval he will take? He has to write out now why he wants to proceed in this matter. Will that be reason or not for proceeding?
Yes.
That shall be reason because he believes or not.
Yes.
He believes that reason only he will record. At every stage he has to.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Any other questions are there from the participants? Sir, I don't think so. We have any other questions. So we can conclude the study circle here, sir. And so you have very nicely compared the old provisions with the new provisions, and the reopening is wide. You have stated the reopening is widely extended, but checks and balances are in place.
Yes.
And the reason to believe is there, it's inherent right now. And so you have discussed why after 1/4/2021, the notices which are being issued under 148 should not be issued. So I think, sir, a threadbare discussion has been made of the new provisions of 148A, as well as why post 1/4/2021 notice under 148 should not be issued. And I think the SSCs have been, the participants here have been enriched by your knowledge, sir. And we thank you a lot for your deliberations. I would now request, I would hand over the proceedings back to Siddhartho for formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Manoj. What a brainstorming session it had been. It brings us to the end of this session, but then as it is a new provision, we have to carry on from here. A lot of discussions will go on. Wonderfully, we are really enlightened and enthralled with Mr. Tulsian's speech today, address today. We heartily extend our thanks to him for obliging us by being there and sharing his valuable time with us and trying to enlighten us on this issue. I also thank all the participants and members of Income Tax Bar Association, other professionals from the fraternity, members of other associations have been a part of this program. We thank you all, and we look forward to be meeting you in our next endeavors with the study circles and the online virtual webinars. Thank you very much. And now, with the permission of the chair, I would end the meeting if President Makun Haldar would allow it. President, sir, can we end the meeting for all?
Yes, conclude the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you so much.